Hey everyone, it's Patch 3.0 for Necropolis, and I want to bring you a very quick video on a really amazing little bit of tech that can pretty much be incorporated into almost every single build in the game to give you either a little bit of additional damage or a substantial increase into your physical damage reduction or just 2 gem sockets in your gear. So as we all know with Necropolis, GGG decided to completely kill left-click binding of any sort of instant cast skill. This means you can't put your Molten Shell, your Blood Rage, your Arcane Cloak, or whatever other kind of skill you want on your left click, and instead you now need to use one of the 2 new supports, either Call to Arms or automation, to get the same functionality back. Now, obviously, a lot of people have been very upset about this, myself included, and I think that this is basically just a solution for a problem that GG made for themselves. Well, there is one upside to this, and that is going to be the Call to Arms jewel. Now, Call to Arms used to be a keystone that was only available in the bottom left portion of the tree. This means that if you weren't playing a duelist, a marauder, or a Templar, you basically had 0 chance of ever getting anywhere close to Call to Arms, meaning you never wanted to care about Warcries in your build at all. Well, because Call to Arms is now just a keystone, that means if you just have 2 open jewel sockets in your build, you can just incorporate Call to Arms into your build along with a Warcry, giving you access to just a free buff that automatically triggers itself that you didn't have access to before. So what are the Warcries you'd actually want to use this with? Now, in the majority of cases, which this is mostly going to be for the top right builds, such as Witch, Trickster, or Ranger, which typically have very low physical damage reduction, you're most likely going to want to use an Enduring Cry. Now, the beautiful thing about the setup is even if you don't have a lot of strength, you can still use this setup, as even just a level 1 Enduring Cry is going to give you 3 endurance charges pretty much every single time. This means that if you didn't have access to endurance charges before in your build, you can now fit in endurance charges for just 2 jewel sockets, giving you 12% physical damage reduction, which is going to be a pretty hefty chunk of additional damage reduction, making you feel substantially tankier. Now, the other thing you could do if you are playing an attack-based build, for example, is to instead use Intimidating Cry. This is going to be good for the bow builds, and it's going to be good for any sort of attack-based Trickster builds, as Intimidate is effectively just 10% more damage, and because you can potentially apply Intimidate through this instead of applying it through your Glove Implicit or a Attack Mastery, you either get to save yourself a passive point, or you potentially get yourself a new Glove Implicit that might give you even more DPS on top of it. Now, the final thing I want to talk about here very quickly, since I know a lot of people are going to ask, what does this mean for Splitting Steel Trickster? As this is something that we very much want to include into Splitting Steel Trickster. So personally, what I've been doing for all today was to specifically run Call to Arms with Intimidating Cry. This effectively just means we do 10% more damage, and in my opinion, the damage felt really nice, and I chose to go for the higher damage rather than more survivability since we're already super tanky. If you do feel like you want to become tankier, Enduring Cry is going to be the better option, as you're going to get permanent endurance charges, and we massively struggle with physical damage in this build, meaning that the 12% less physical damage we're going to take from the endurance charges is going to go quite a long way to make us feel tankier. I tried Inferno Cry, in my opinion, Inferno Cry just feels bad, so I wouldn't attempt to do that, and I'd specifically either pick Enduring Cry or Intimidating Cry. Now, in terms of being able to fit this into your build, you could potentially just drop your precision if you don't need it with 2 ephemeral edges, or if you get yourself enough intelligence and accuracy rating on the rest of your gear to actually be able to get to accuracy cap without precision. And finally, if you need additional jewel sockets to be able to fit this in, if you're running Smite and Increased Duration, you could potentially just drop the Increased Duration, meaning you'll have to press Smite a little bit more often, or you could just drop something like the Momentum off of your Whirling Blades, and between that, you should be able to have enough space. It's not too bad to fit into the build, and if you really needed more space and you can't find anything else to drop, the last thing you might want to consider is to just drop Frostblink and just simply only play with Whirling Blades, which might feel a little bit bad given that Whirling Blades can't go over gaps. With all this put together, I think the Warcry tech is really nice, and I like that we now have Call to Arms as an actual skill because Enduring Cry is really strong, and I'm glad that in at least the builds that don't have socket pressure, this is basically just a free addition for just endurance charges or just a little bit damage for attack build. If you have any questions on this, cuties, feel free to leave a comment in the comments below, and I'd be more than happy to help you as soon as I can, or feel free to come on my Twitch. I stream every single day, and I'd be more than happy to help you there as well. With all said, cuties, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next video.